I'm excited to talk to you. What I've heard of this new record sounds really awesome, man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I guess the backstory has to start with a stage musical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the story there? Because I didn't even know about the stage musical happening until I started the research on this record.
Yeah. I mean, it was just local here in Portland. We got asked to. Well, basically, this large theater here in town asked us if we could come up with a show of some kind of content. And so over a year's time, we put this show together. And, most of the songs I had written them already and was kind of working on this record. But when the show came along, I kind of changed the songs and used a number of them, not all of them, but some of them for the show. And so we performed it here in town for like 2 months.
I mean, what a cool, different type of thing to do. I mean, did it feel like out of your bubble?
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, to a point, we were still playing music and stuff, but there was also a lot of like acting, or it was like monologues basically that different characters would deliver and kind of tie songs together. And then it was a strange thing. It was like a cross between like a musical and like a rock opera or something like that. I don't really know what you call it.
Did the storyline come from your songs? Like, did you present it, or did they give you something to work on?
No, I came up with the story from my life, kind of my late 20s life. Yeah, I know I kind of came up with all of it, and the directors helped and guided it quite a bit.
I mean, those 20s, I'm looking at the first two singles here, and you've got the words wild, reckless, and rebel.
Right.
Is that the story of your 20s?
To a point, yeah. I mean, well, for one thing, Rebel wasn't actually in the show. That's its own sort of deal. But yeah, the wild and reckless thing was sort of, I mean, I had written these songs before the show, so I wasn't really thinking about them in terms of a storyline, to be honest. But I kind of was able to finesse a lot of the music into a story that I kind of already had been thinking about.
Well, I mean, it's cool when you listen to them, because, like, before I knew about the stage show part of it, before I'd found that part of the story, my thought was, man, this would make a great TV show. And that's just based off the two singles. There's something very cinematic about it. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I guess, I don't know, I'm looking at some of the press stuff here, like the press sheet, and you've, darker dystopian, parts of America. And I don't know, is it biographical meets today and I don't know, the country of now? Yeah,
that's probably definitely true. I mean, when I'm writing songs, and I definitely write lots of stories, I'm kind of more of a storyteller than a songwriter sometimes. But when I'm writing these stories, I'm pulling from my past, but I'm also pulling from sort of everyday, the stuff that I see around me and all that. I mean, the song Wild and Reckless is sort of a mixture of the story of my aunt eloping with my dad's best friend in the 60s, mixed with this couple that was living in a car on the road that I live on. So, yeah, I'm definitely pulling from like past stories, relatives, pulling from things I'm seeing every day. It's that kind of thing.
I was thinking there's enough going on out in the world for any of us to be in sort of a darker mood. But I was thinking, like, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case for when you're thinking of, potentially seedy characters and seedy stories.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you can just pull from those anytime. I mean, we've sort of had those characters, or at least those moments throughout your career. What's attracted you to those?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I'm always just looking for a story, an interesting kind of narrative or character, or even just scene. I think I probably approach music in a more cinematic way almost. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's like I like to create a certain atmosphere and a certain kind of character, that's partially based in reality and partially not. And I mean, that's just kind of that's what I like. I don't know why.
The other part of this that I've heard you talk about is it's sort of a spiritual follow-up to Furr?
Yeah, I mean, in certain ways. Furr had a similar kind of dystopian vibe to it, a lot of the other songs on the record. And I think sonically, in certain ways, it has similarities. But yeah, I mean, it's been almost 10 years since Furr, so I've been thinking about that record and kind of remembering where I was in my head at that time.
Oh, that's such a benchmark for a lot of your fans. I mean, I know a lot of folks, that's when they found you. So
yeah, sure.
To kind of pinpoint that one, I think that raises a lot of ears. It's in a way, I was thinking it's like, when you hear of a director 10 years later, 20 years later say, I'm going to do a sequel to your favorite movie. And we all go, cool. Oh, God, I hope it's good. I mean, does it feel like there's a little bit of danger in going back there?
No, I mean, I'm not like trying to remake it or anything. I mean, I think for me, it's just a matter of like telling stories in that sort of similar fashion, I think. Because, that record had Furr and had Black River Killer, God and Suicide. It has these sort of dark things. I don't know. I felt like as I was writing these, like, oh, this atmosphere I'm creating feels similar it feels familiar in some way.
What a time for it to come out. Musically, though, I mean, it's a big rock and roll record. It feels like a little bit of where you left off on the last one with All Across the Land. I know you guys, you're always playing with your sound, but I mean, is that how you see it? Does it feel like further down that road?
Some of the record, yeah. I mean, there are definitely moments that are not rock moments. It like most of our records, it kind of goes in a couple different directions as you move through it. The track Joanna, which is just a live recording of me with an acoustic, is another just a story. I mean, that song doesn't even have a chorus. It's just me telling the story of this girl. It's a murder ballad.
The best kind.
And so, and so, yeah, there's moments where it's just nothing but like me and a guitar telling a story. And then, yeah, there's some pretty big rock moments.
I noticed there was 2 parts to a song called Forever.
Yeah, and then that one is sort of like, I don't know. It's a record that's kind of, for better or worse, meant to be listened to as a whole. So, yeah, there's sort of pieces of songs scattered here and there throughout the record. Yeah, it definitely has sort of a psychedelic vibe, more so than our more recent records.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of it. The first 2 singles, seriously, they're some of my favorite things that you guys have already done. So, and you do that every time. Total compliments.
You try. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you talking.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
All right, man. We'll see if you're around in these parts again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.